like 30 seconds of uncomfortable silence. Get a proper preacher thump and hold it up right here.
Yeah, that was kind of neat.
One can steal one from one of the local churches.
We can just turn around and down on the wall.
Yeah, this thing's nuts.
That table back there is nice and long.
Yeah. Guarantee you. Okay, then. Did you bring enough ice cream for everybody? Do we have a name for this series?
No. Yeah, it's usually OAC Open Mic.
OAC Open Mic. Welcome to it. I think the general consensus now is that we're going to keep doing it here. So,
And we're going to do it here next week. Walter Bargan will be here April
it's true.
6th.
April 6th.
Yeah.
Walter Bargan, former and first poet laureate of the state of Missouri.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
So, with as little ado as possible, Tony says this is the camera that's, we're gonna, if you want the dramatic stare between lines or focus at that camera, focus at him. Imagine, they always say in the punch through. Our first poet tonight is John Clayton.
Oh, yeah, you flipped the order. You're doing
Did I?
first?
Oh, how we did? That's right. I haven't done this.
Then you're last guy.
And you're last. You're dead last, brother. I swear I'm gonna get my head in the game in a minute. We have two features. What am I thinking? Did you guys fight it out for order?
No, I told them you were going to decide. You got
Because you're supposed to decide who goes in what order.
Who came farther?
Huh?
Who came farther?
Why? I don't know.
You're both from St. Louis, aren't you?
You came from St. Louis?
Manchester.
Manchester, I came from Wentzville, so I guess it's further away.
Would you like to?
It doesn't matter, whatever.
You're going first, pal.
Okay.
Okay, our first poet in the featured poet section will be Jim McGowin.
Jim Meat.
Jim
Jim Beef.
Beef
That's it.
McGowin. Can I have your bio?
Yeah, is it in here? Yeah, it is.
There should be.
Well, it's a little different, but
Let's
yeah.
make it proper formal.
It's grown since then.
It's
but-
Jim McGowin does art but keeps a day job. He has been published in Chance Operations, the U-City Review, Rusty Truck, the Gasconade Review, and has authored several chapbooks. He lives in St. Louis, Missouri with his family and two cats, Jim Beef McGowin.
Thank you. So I know which camera to avoid now. I'm going to read behind here. Because I want to start by saying I hate being filmed and I hate seeing myself on video. I love taking video and being behind the camera, but I'm like, so I hope I never see this video ever. I'm not going to, if I see it online, I'm going to skip past it and not I'll look at it. But
I'll send it.
I will not look at it.
Because you're breakfast.
But thanks to OAC Spartan, you guys for showing up and being here, and whoever's reading, I'm looking forward to hearing whatever you have to read too, because I really dig poetry. So that's all I got to say. I'm just going to get right into it. I got this book came out in 2018, which doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but it was. So I got to work on another one that John says I'm never going to do, so it means I have to.
That's right.
Other than that, and I got some new stuff which nobody has heard before, so it's all new, probably, except for maybe you guys. But binary collapse, specious discourse from a flirtatious sky. It was such an untimely rest for an approximate body. Say the way. Yes, it leaves you thinking in zero gravity, tumbling, interface, and decline, and the visible spectrum too, where I wait for your approach, despite my heresy of blind longing. Say the way. Yes, these bodies will falter, and no one can be divine in the place where I want to end my lunge. Say the way. To reveal an ordained tear a place to bite our fiery tongues into begging for a dividing of your heavens into a slow slicing of eclipse, until it's far too late to throw knots into the ravenous embrace of our inevitable circumvolations. That's not the one I was going to start out with. I marked the wrong page because I didn't want to say that last word.
Say it again?
No.
Circumvallation. Is it a real word?
It is. It's like spinning. It's a fancy word for spinning and revolving stuff.
That's what you can't use fancy words.
I know. So there's that. This is an anthology not ready for River Styx that Backclass Press out of Dunaway Books in St. Louis put out a little while ago. A lot of good stuff in here. I only have one copy, but you'll probably find it online or something if you're interested. Good press. Hot-blooded inferno of Nyx. The ashes of Nyx have no unique dreams. She flames these anxieties and nails them to oblivion. I climbed into her diamond, yet the hungry star remained. Sunrise was my flaw, my Achilles wound, an action hushed, and a shadow notched, pierced by morning's swift fever. Thus I died as a burning beast in a dull and shallow hour. Ripened in sunshine and bound up in rain, I loped to frolic in gloomy souls, and made divinity drunk with my ineptly concocted offerings. I am free of the din of their residual voices, except for the snoring, too savage to pray for, too big for their britches, wrought from the remains of tired old songs, the unbecoming tales of fate told in hushed reverence, uttered to the years that have already moved on, until I too have moved on, no longer boiling in her blood. Occultists abandoning their fix to become a vacant swoon in the flesh, with the awareness of being agonizingly empty in a room heavy with figures, where her predatory face is ignited and sustained in a traumatic array, burning the very river Styx into a smoking, naked bed, ebony scorched, weeping away every drop of water, leaving only the glittering crunch and wither of embers and my own charred jawbone, still insisting it knows how to talk its way out of the tormenting darkness that always comes after her fire. The thing I don't like about this book is even my glasses, like 10 size 10 font, like tiny. I don't know why they did that.
What are you looking at? That's what I used.
Really? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Too small. Too small.
Maybe that's 9.
Could be. This is something that is going to be in my next book that's not ever coming out, according to John. Called Like an Umbrella Canceled.
You won't do it.
Now I have to. Like an umbrella cancels wet in a very small geographic location. Last rites only stall the darkness from dancing in impact craters on faraway Kuiper Belt objects, while paralysis pardons the sin of hope with a methodical jerk and a smile. Plucked nerves leave their cobwebs, disseminating into spindly-limbed epilogues, their snagging passages fracturing the skin, tracing worry lines and crow's feet into a map of lost highways, each road swallowed up by antediluvian mud. Yet somewhere, something occasionally aligns with satisfaction, tearing a hole in the arrogant pocket of a jealous god, causing it to lose its keys. So you steal its car and drive into town, sacrificing a little spit for a clearer view of the streets through the dirty plate glass windows, cracked and taped up, the prices obscured, temporarily weakening the attachment that idols have with their cannibalistic franchises. To escape and burn in a daring suborbital arc, only to circle down the rusty porcelain girdle like it was some rickety carnival machine you finally grew tall enough to ride. And it was certainly a hoot while it lasted. But blaspheme or believe it, there will always be scary things waiting at the maze's core, all House of Horrors, black lights, and carnival mirror contorted, as the determined moths are dragged into stormy explosions until they lose their beating wings, metamorphosed back into awkward squirming commas, separating the best adjectives from their worst independent clauses, while an umbrella cancels wet in a very small geographic location until the wind insists on twisting it into a tumbled black and silver bat-winged unruly thing, and we again bury our flittering pulses behind the shadows cast by hurled lightning bolts, falling asleep indifferently while the sun is still out and burning bright as a highway billboard signing announcing that apparently Jesus can have orgasms. While the dream of a transitory treaty in the shape of a November spider's unrestrained crawling towards the lamentable fly, possibly its last supper, or the creeping of a serpentine smear of smoke, mistaken for wet ink blot on the white pages of the heart, snaking, trailing down dim, poisoning the mind with thoughts of pretty poetry, the I's dotted, the T's crossed, just like fingers in a warding gesture against getting caught in happy trysts to nowhere, the evening breeze tinged with the funk of something dead in the ditch that runs along our chosen path, where we are most afraid of closing in on any particular destination, except maybe another blind curve around which our little ghosts run along before us, happily quoting lines of tragedy off their lolling tongues. Men's wretchedness, in sooth, I so deplore, not even I would plague the sorry creatures more. Mephistopheles certainly knew the score, since he's always been the conductor, and he always cuts the melody jarringly short. And as our orchestra quiets, someone in the last aisle coughs, the fly beseeches its last buzz, and closing the distance, the hopeless sound of more rain coming, but this time you forgot to bring your umbrella. This one I was telling John earlier, I'm like, I don't remember writing this. I'm like, is this someone else's poem? And I think I recognize the last line, so it's got to be mine. These weapons speak in burning dialects, or Alpha and Omega. Apparently I wrote it October 25th last year. In mouthfuls, thick-set serpents, green catching in the furrowed hiss, a tired portrait, azure and motif, and shadows teased and peels, hooked 2 cauldrons of water, in each a north star reflected. So that she cannot rain out so freely, her eyes obsessed with weeping, next time I will kill the light to darken the skies into backs arched like gangster slippers, the rainbow of bellies and burst pearls and strumming lyres. And I have tasted this benevolence, envenomed its pattern, licked this thin little will, digging like a timid rabbit, without which all of creation would have no pauper's graves, where the coiled night spreads its mouth and laughs itself to death, instructs the dew to shower lips like flowers of doubt, glittering to pass through the chest, just as heaven snuffs out its mocking ray, in high altitude kill and capture play, the dawdler's split where a kiss means sleep in the coarsest of movements, loosening the voracious body to burn out in betrayal of tension, a beginning of some sort, and an end, or a scar, or a jewel, to peel off in sickness, to crack the scintillance and ink in black, Alpha and Omega, wish me white water, and a cloudy day to flow in, with naked summer heels, until she kills each Achilles stem in ballet laceration and leaves the petaled heads muted, hanging in the atmosphere like some 1980s stock footage of blossoming mushroom clouds. It's called Bonds of Love Form Often Illicitly in a Perfect Sphere. That pretentious title, jeez.
More big fancy words.
Yeah. There is no communication among the saints, so I make my own backbone hum. I keep my evil thoughts to myself. Here, this thing can be steered to carve out your sea's origins, One injury howls its salt's radiance into the next. Every confession has a shadow. It moves nearer to the head and grows teeth, a murderous dragnet. In our sky, no one's ghost is in love with someone else. A deep groove in the heart could mistake your softness for falling. Your swift, spread-eagled soul and fathomed body, all island waves wasted, inscrutable hair about your undefeated shoulders. The sagebird sings in an iron slag waist, the corpus bullet in the delayed throat. I hunger, I extend this thing, happen to find the right lines to ripple it, this myth killer, this indecisive tangle, those starved of danger and those who drown oddly, the pang riddled, suppressing their frowns into half moons. There's the moon. This clarity is what I haunt for and what hunts me like a panic. In terms of obscurity and the malice of guttered torrents, the modest, archaic goddess wants to unravel into a forgotten habit. Her shoulders are taut and twist in hesitation, deep buried hands in a trance of feathered gloves, the truce of doves without their wings, unable to put down my voice and fly away. We join our bones together in an ominous phantom of questions. The words are often lost just beneath the kneecaps' bruises. The silent saints are cinched up by the sinews of our mothers and fathers. Their knotted faces turn elsewhere to barter and bargain. You are not my starting point. Our hollow skulls touch one last time in a toast to formality. Radial, an ocean spreads out below us, releases untied, and is immediately ruined. It's called the archer shot at him until he was full of arrows. Whoever greens this tree is inexhaustible. As your legs grow into the sky and the wood is now blindfolded, how does your body find enough water to extinguish bliss? Where did the sun first give birth to my own struggling roots, spreading out in wonder to cover a solitary face, searching for the eyes that are dipped in clouds, more to do with helplessness than a need for tears? There are boundaries in this exchange that never stop forgetting. The old marks are there, waiting for you to misinterpret them as blood or a boorish bark or as the pith of pity. We are afraid of the graves of the broken hounds, and so naturally a lot of our bones will be stolen. Yet all our remaining secrets still add up to one body. There are two masks carved into the death of our single soul. One is thinking, what is the meaning of kissing the ground with cautious footsteps? The other is thinking, no one teaches you how to dance your way out of a dreaming maze. An enlightened man knows to steal during the blink of God's eye. Passionate and guilty, he is driven so foolhardy that his trembling legs will be broken up like sticks for the Fletcher. The dirt eats at him, abandoning him in the mortal wound of the day. The color of that hour is not unique. It is the time of the blue flower, bearing the sharp red fruit of penalty. I wait for that color to disappear into your mouth, for a breath that mimics the twist of my bound-up limbs. I can no longer raise my voice as prey. I can no longer raise my ambitions to your throat. I can no longer raise my hooded eyes to watch for your pupils to eclipse in their sky like a hail of blindness, to never again see me separated from my own martyrdom. A muted man will turn to hear a sacrificial voice, his own, discussing casualty to the branches, stinging with empty lungs, pierced to yielding with the fermata of traitorous arrows. The brutal rising and falling of notes teased in crimson drips across pale skin, failing as dry leaves must always surrender in a brush with fire. How does your body find enough water to put out every wound? When did the arrows first give birth to my own bleeding? In a path buried with haphazard marksmanship, plunged into every target but one, the charred desires of the fire-hardened wooden heart. Thanks.
June beat McGowin.
Sure, that video is really good, that recording that I'm gonna send you.
And those are all from your forthcoming book.
That's not. John doesn't think it's going to happen.
That's right.
Thank you so much. See, he knows how to do it. If it makes any difference, I too loathe, as much as it would sound like the opposite, the sound of my own voice and the image of how I project. So
I hate the sound of your own voice.
I do too. You gotta get over it. And
But
do
you
this.
want to look like that. You don't want to
Yeah.
see video of yourself.
I really don't. It's not pretty. Rick Christiansen is a former corporate executive, stand-up comedian, actor, and director. His work can be found in the Queen's Quarterly, Oddball Magazine, Stone Poetry Journal, the Rye Whiskey Review, As It Ought to Be magazine, and other publications. His poem, Bone Fragments, is included in the 2023 New Generation Beats Anthology from the National Beat Poetry Foundation. He has been recently nominated for a Touchstone Award. He is the co-host of SpoFest, a member of Writers Place, and a member of the St. Louis Writers Guild. He lives in Missouri with his fiancee Kim and his 8 grandchildren. Rick Christiansen.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks to OAC, Jason, John, everybody. Great to be here. First one I'm going to read tonight, wrote this as a prompt poem. Rattlecast has this thing called Poets Respond, where you look at news stories and you write a poem. And so there's a story about families in Syria, in Damascus, sitting in these high-rise apartment buildings, waiting for the rockets and the bombs. And so I wrote this, and unfortunately, it's not just in Damascus. Now it's also in Ukraine, and now it's in Gaza. So I am hoping that this poem becomes obsolete at some point, but at this point it's pertinent. It's called The Gods Are Too Loud. Begins with an epigraph. In his hands, Hercules took his shield, all glittering. In the center and upon the shield, Proaxis, pursuit, and Hamados, tumult, were wrought. Hesiod, the shield of Hercules. The gods are too loud, and I cannot hear them. I wail from my pipes and screech from my ductwork. I am trapped by the sound into deafness, left to worship Hamados, noise, speech, danger, crouching beneath, whistling metal, bursting silence. Thank you. My poem, Bone Fragments, got into the National Beat Poet thing. I also titled my book, Miss Rebirth, so kindly published for me, Bone Fragments. And so I'm going to read the title poem tonight, Bone Fragments, an Archaeological Excavation. My mother would disappear, sometimes for up to a week. I would shop groceries at the Ralph's in North Hollywood to feed my little brother and myself. It didn't feel like stealing. I always took the list. I don't remember the movie by name. I was 8 or 9. I fell hopelessly in love with the beautiful princess. For the next 50 years, I'm sure that I would find her in the bright eyes of every neurotic narcissist I dated. I was always disappointed, but she was always there. I hate to carry a lot of change in my pockets. It reminds me of when I had to go to the laundromat with my little brother. I always tried to use some of the change to buy him candy. He was easier to handle in public spaces when he had candy. I was always reluctant to make promises to my children. I didn't want to disappoint them. I would just say, we'll see, when they asked for a commitment. They were always disappointed. I killed my dog yesterday. She was failing. I killed her before she failed. I will never know when she would have actually failed. I didn't wait for the end of that movie. I've built a life around listening to the music others make and trying to match the syncopation. There is some peace in slowly going deaf. It isn't really silence, just the absence of noise. More artifacts, another layer. My grandson told me that he thought going to prison would be really awesome. He said it would be relaxing before the compliance, or basically that. I got $10 an hour to model nude for the art school in the 1970s. I told my friends I was doing it for money. I was lying. I tried to become an alcoholic during my freshman year of college. I drank 2 warm beers for breakfast every day, but then I went to class. I fucked up. I should have skipped class. My biological mother was 17 when she conceived me. My daughter was 17 when she conceived my grandson. My grandson is now 17. He lives with me. I think about what he made me conceiving as I write this. I lived with my great-grandparents until I was 3, until my great-grandfather started having seizures. I asked if he was going to get better, if I was going to be able to come back home to them. They did not want to disappoint me. They said, "We'll see." Thank you. This next one is double duty. It's an ars poetica, poem about poetry. It's also about one of my hobbies. It's called Storm Chasing. The rain pummels the windshield with a force that makes it hard to see. I tighten my hands on the wheel, my eyes fixed on the wedge-shaped cloud in front of me. I put on my hazard blinkers as I slow down for water on the road. I am not willing to stop. I'm dancing with the elements. I would chase the clouds on foot if I could, but I'm slow. The wind howls and shakes the car. I feel powerful. I remind myself that I am the pursuer. I remind myself that I want to be here. We chase things, hoping to be caught. Why else would we? Proximity creates opportunity. I want to be in the middle of it all. I want to swirl through the air. I want to join the storm surrounded by cows and surprise. Thank you. Okay, this one I'm dedicating to Dorsey. We're really glad you're here with us. And it is called Water and Salt. I feel a need of cleansing, briskness against my palate to scrub this year away. I imagine a scoured veneer where hope will again find adhesion. Like a wooden plank deck, stained by time and life, made fresh with a stiff brush, doused in water, and drawn across a solid surface. My spirit craves this reckoning with the elements. These artifacts of baptism provide me too with renewal, both ingredients of the sea, washing over me, almost battering. Too much dust has settled on my sensibilities. Solitude and uncertainty have soiled my gaze. I will start again with water and salt. Well, if you drove on the highway to get here, I know you saw we've got these RV parks all over, and people live there now. It's basically like van life. And so I wrote a poem about that world. And it's called Ramblings. We desperately need to not need each other, and nobody can do that alone. It takes a village to flee a town that has stopped being a community. Faded infrastructure highways have the care of the caravan winding toward a mountain range that never seems to grow closer. It looms in my peripherals while I stir the camels and wish for one more cigarette, because that first puff in the morning still tastes like sea and metal. Not metallic, but the cold steel of a blade in my chest that can never be coughed all the way up anymore. And it's not the sea tang, but blood. And in an hour, it will be metallic if it still sits in my gums. So I swallow. And hope Bill shows up today, because I like his dog. And petting her makes me forget Bill is there. And that's good, because I never liked that SOB. His dog's neck has that kind of fur that makes you feel like you're holding on to something real. Thank you. Okay, this next piece, there's a project called Poetry Excellence run by McGowin Maru out of DC. And basically, poets write poems about hunger in the world. And it's an incredible project. One of the poems got picked this year for the Save the Children Foundation for their international campaign. So I got invited to submit, and I my poetry would feed you. And it's gorgeous, but that's not me. I grew up with food insecurity. And so I struggled, and finally came up with this. And they took it, and I was surprised. Fish sticks, it's called. Nobody talks about the anger. Hungry? Take what you need. Grab what you want. Kids laugh at the white paper lunch sack filled with gopher snacks from the liquor store. Slim Jims, beef jerky, Hostess apple pie. I brought a lunch t-shirt. I made it myself. Nobody talks about the anger. It was a picnic wherever they were staying. The meal arrayed in her lap. Cold, torn bits of sliced wiener stuck to saltines with sourdough heels. The children circle her chair as her chicken hand dispenses each bite. Gaping mouths, chomp, chew, swallow. Take a sip of her tap cola. Nobody talks about the anger. Crashed the birthday party in the park. Blend in. I know him from school. I forgot to bring my present. Is the vegetable platter just for the grown-ups? Will there be cake? Can I take a piece to my brother? Nobody talks about the anger. At the Dairy Queen at the end of the night, leftovers going to the dumpster. It's all still warm. Sometimes they throw it away in bags. That makes it easier. Nobody talks about the anger. 4 Sea King fish sticks, 1 slice of Kraft cheese, a bun, if you're lucky, a packet of tartar sauce, snacks from the condiment rack at the 7-Eleven. Taste this fly fish. Nobody talks about the anger. Rather be hungry than have to be grateful. Sad doe eyes of observant adults, their pity swimming as they try to not feel superior. 3 years old, and I might snatch something off of your plate, even if I don't know you. Hands. I asked my mother once, after my father had died, what her favorite thing about him had been. She sat and thought for a long moment. I watched the muscles of her face move as she considered the question. I knew her face. I could discern even shadows of emotion as she shifted expressions. She at first looked thoughtful, then wistful, and finally a look of satisfaction settled in her gaze. His hands, she said gently. I waited for her to say more, but her declaration had carried her aside for herself for a moment. Finally, she spoke. After the cancer and the mastectomy, the nurse had to give us detailed care instructions for the wound where my breast had been removed. There was a small tube sutured in the incision that extended out almost an inch. The nurse called it a drain. All this had to be cleaned and rebandaged each day. It was not something I could do alone. Your father listened carefully to all the instructions and watched the nurse dress a site with gauze and bandages. I was not able to make myself even look down where my breast had been as she looked. I just looked at your father. Then we drove home. That night it was time to clean and redress the incision and drain. Your dad didn't say anything. He just set out the bandages and gauze and other supplies on a TV tray he had placed next to the high back chair he had put near our bed. He led me to the chair and helped me sit down. He sat directly in front of me on a lower chair that positioned his face in front of my chest. I remember his hands, so large and rough from the garden, gently and almost delicately unbuttoning the front of my nightgown and removing the dressing from my chest. I would not look down. I felt the air where my breast should be. Your father's expression never changed as he worked. It was the same look he had on his face when he put finishing touches on one of his paintings. I focused on looking at his hands. I remember being so frightened that he would pull back or be disgusted by my hollow chest with a tube protruding. I can talk about it now. His face was only inches from my deformity. His hands worked gently but firmly. Feeling his hands on me reassured me, I think. I imagined him thinking something beautiful. I always loved his hands. you've been on the planet a while, you almost certainly have someone in your life who has had problems with drugs or alcohol, and you may well have lost someone. And this is a poem about that, and it's called Dragging His Beast Around. The habit was structured, controlled, modulated. Architecture married to inspiration, never too much. It was always too much. Gone in a stutter. Chasing God. You were not supposed to catch up. The cliche too painful. No choice but to be seen. There is risk in being seen. Beast seeping out by inches, like yellow jackets oozing from the nest. You didn't have to wait until life was not hard to be happy. You were going to outlast the buzz and swarming. Two coasts, your face, no ocean on either shore, yet still an island, made lethargic by the needle. You circled the thing that wasn't there until you forced it into existence. Belief leaks when you chase chaos, and you can get caught up short. Thank you. Well, in the first poem I talked about my grandson living with me. He's now 19 and he's moved out, but I wrote this when he moved in, and it's called Lists. I learned from my father that a good man leaves behind unfinished lists. Milk, cookies, ice cream, fruit, buy graph paper. My lists have changed since you came to live with me. They will change again. You are shifting daily in the way that young things do. I had forgotten the speed of transformation. I have been focused on my own entropy. Look at me raising a cult to the end. Look at you learning to jump fences. Look at us both adjusting our pace so that we can walk together. Cereal, he likes the sweet ones. Rice, pick him up after tutoring, 3 p.m. Mexican-style cheese, pay the high school woodshop fee, $30. Your abrupt residence here is startling to me. I expected quiet years toward an inevitable end. Instead, I have a roommate. A gangling puppy in blue jeans and a hoodie, feet and hands too large, voice deepening and no longer crackling. I make my inventories so that we will both have structure. In order to our unexpected days together, you never write anything down. Youth believes that if it is truly important, it will be remembered. Age knows that words on paper are real, a promise. I will catalog what we both will need. I will keep writing it all down. You too will begin to compose. Together we will cross off the items, marking the progression of this parade from page to life. Thank you. So I'm going to be a barrel of fun tonight. Here's another one about alcoholism and addiction, and it is called Bone on Bone. Take a drink for this one. Bone on Bone. Party of the first part. I vaguely remember her childhood, something gooey and some tinker toys. She is bitter. She perceives the benefits rocked from competence as luck in others. A buffet of dysfunction kept warm by a heat lamp of anxiety. The memories feel both heavy and light in my pocket. We thought her tantrums were only mascara, puffery. I tried to experience her anger as a transitional phase of her development, but she made it hard, going instinctively straight to the softest meat. Selfishness and survival are often the same thing. Part A, second part. I'm looking for that string in my gullet, fishing with wet fingers to gain purchase sufficient to pull up new resolve into the air. I have lost the dichotomy needed. Blame and responsibility are eroded by the friction of use. A spectacular failure has its grace. An end is defined and closed. This seesaw of recovery is exhausting. The entropy of family, the mingling of guilt and intent. I want to activate the mechanism of flight. I can hear my history. I see these ghosts who once exhaled steps along these same pitted hallways. It would be too precious to rest this all on ancient shoulders. The load must be present for ownership. Still, I feel weighed down by the fossils that I carry. My life is painted by rust. We are all similar enough. The wrists of each generation pass through the same stained sleeves. Still, I have ambition for her recovery. I listen for the scratch of her shovel in the dirt. She must snatch back her own choices from our Elysian fields. I remember they are not mine. I must untangle. I am ignoring my dusting. Thank you. Okay, one more. And this one's a little more fun. This is a true story. As you heard earlier, I lived with my great-grandparents until I was almost 4 years old. And this happened, and it's called prescription. The doctor told my great-grandfather that my great-grandmother should have a glass of wine before dinner each evening. Good to replenish her iron, and she was a nervous sort, although no one really talked about that in more than vague terms. Papa wanted Mama to be just right. They were not drinkers, but the doctor said. Papa bought a big green bottle of Chianti, the kind nestled in woven grass. Mama always listened to Papa. Papa always listened to the doctor. She drank her wine, the whole glass, every day. A week passed. Papa didn't understand. Mama was following doctor's orders, but she had stopped cooking dinner. She just fell asleep in her chair with the pro wrestling in the background on the flickering TV. Papa wanted Mama to be just right. He called the doctor, told her Mama was sleeping away dinner, woke with a headache each morning. The doctor still made house calls. He came to the house and asked to see the wine and the glass. Papa dutifully fetched the Chianti and the 16-ounce tumbler glass. He filled it to the brim. See, doctor, he followed a prescription. The doctor hid his smile. The next day, the doctor returned with a gift. 2 wine glasses in a box. The doctor told Papa, only one of these each day, and not filled to the brim. Mama made pork chops, potatoes, and green beans for dinner.
Rick Christiansen.
If you want to get more people on there.
Okay. Let's see, Rick, is it 10
Yeah, you can.
for all?
If you want to get people on the list.
And while we're taking a break, people want to jump on this. So, 10 minutes.
What's that? It was on the old list because it's from like November.
13, she's got the change.
So it's gonna give Jason a new clean notebook that I hadn't had a chance to look up there.
So this thing is not even.
Except for
I saw not it's not Kirk Kim.
here, I'll give you.
No, no.
I buy clothes. She lives in KC, I live in West Hill.
And Senator, so you were on the board?
Just a member at this point. I'm on the advisory board. Yeah. And so if you want to do, I can get you the, I can get you the,
Yeah? Oh, you're going on the book.
you bet.
John Clayton.
Put it in the book.
Good art.
Yeah.
What was that the guy? Was it the guy from the was it John Wayne movie where he's the boxer over in Ireland? The Quiet Man?
Yeah, when I saw your company, it didn't have
And the other guy, and the patriarch of that little town was, give me my book. You going in my book.
Gas money.
That's the only part I want to see now.
Okay.
Of the whole movie.
When we're done with Bosch.
Please, yes.
We go take care of the puppy.
Yeah.
It's
A
not.
lot of them.
I'm just gonna write it down here somewhere.
Right, I didn't go. I didn't bring any books.
You got nothing to read.
No, I literally brought nothing.
Yeah?
Last time.
You're not reading.
I brought nothing.
You don't like the kids with your phone and reading phones?
My water over there. Sorry, guys.
Ken, are you on here?
Yes, I'm gonna.
All right.
Yes. Start a new list, are we?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And who was with?
Yeah, I did that so you could ask anyone else who wasn't on there if they want to be on there.
I couldn't do any today. It was the first day. Breakfast, and we had to drop off care package.
You didn't want to be involved, but you still are, see?
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, it was a good thing, because, the extras from our garden to the local restaurants, so we've only done that with, the restaurant. But this year,
Ooh, cupcakes.
so we shut them.
I didn't even get around to mine earlier. Cupcakes.
There's always somebody in here, John.
Yeah.
Jesus, the smokers in this crowd. Figured they'd be out there.
Well, John, you missed a nice crooked drive.
So that Scott's trying to plan it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm letting you know I'm going over the fifth.
I think he said to me today, so it's like September 27th.
Okay?
John.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, he had a word on it. Really want to go out there.
It's a long trip. I got home like 7 minutes.
It's only like 35 minutes from
So here's what.
He lives south of so you know where Kabul is at, right?
Ray really hurt.
It's like 60 miles.
Big city.
But I don't think that they were told.
The brewery in town.
Scott was the only one who read, and he read for about an hour. And then there was
Yeah, Ray really covered it.
probably 20 minutes of conversation about
Well,
writing
it wasn't that, excuse me. It was up against the
what he
wall.
does, that kind of stuff.
But so, you know, that dude's
And
something
I
else.
felt I had to come home because by that time it was after 8,
and then you got 3 hours.
and I've got a 3-hour drive. But you can only, I mean, it's a deer infested area. I mean, it's almost all national forest.
So it's pretty dangerous. That's a dangerous drive.
So, 45 miles an hour for 60 miles till you get up to Kabul. But if you've ever been to Hodgson Mills, it's only like 300 yards from Hodgson Mills.
It's,
Well, I know, like, is the Is that actually where he lives?
He lives on a farm somewhere. It's got advertised this place that's not Sycamore,
Yeah, I saw that.
which is just area. It doesn't even have a store or anything. It's just a sign. A sign on the highway is what it is. And I mean,
Between Theodosia and Singapore, it's like 36 minutes.
and I don't know where Scott lives. I know the Louis schools at Theodosia.
Yeah, I know his P.O. box.
Superintendent. But they were interesting people. They mean, it's pretty remote.
You know, I know that about it, so he's gonna have real issues getting people to come in.
Yeah. Go, I just figured the right thing to do.
Maybe next time if you go, and it's not like the city in September, I'll go with you. I don't like going on that day. 6 hours and that's what.
Yeah, 6 hours drive. And the irony is, there is not a lot between here and there. Once you get to Kabul, for the next 60 miles, I don't think there's, well, there may be one place you can buy Guinness.
Hopefully there's a toilet somewhere between there.
Well, I don't know where it would be.
Yeah, probably nature's toilet.
Nature's toilet, that was the case for me.
I can tell you, I've never seen anything like this. In front of the grocery store. Oh man, unzipped his pants in the parking lot, just peed right there. Like in full view, eating outside of the building.
Well, you know, I think we may be a little bit too hung up about that kind of stuff.
Well, because if you go to the bathroom, you can go.
You know, you can go do that and pee on yourself, and I'll take that as true.
No, me too. I don't think it's probably, it just made me smile.
Yeah.
You're not good on the person, you're like, cool, cave, you know, it was meant to all cave. Just forget, take that off. And then it's just like, you know, it's like, yeah.
I don't know where it's don't believe a word they say. And I brought two of you.
She's kind of uneven, but I like a lot of her stuff.
That's good on the counter.
Yeah, she's pretty well known. Yeah. Some of her stuff not so great. Some of it's amazing.
Because
Yeah, but at some point he'll start coming back every week. And
Yeah.
you send him the soundtrack from Cats in the Cradle, along with the announcement of the listing.
Anytime you profile something, you should talk about before, it's free.
Should I just finish with
I live in Winston.
Okay, I was just having
But I don't ask anybody.
No, I see it.
fine, yeah, I'm starving.
Last gig I did in St. Louis was Nigeria Cafe and now it's shut down. It was part of the I'm a kid. Kim might be
He wrestled the IRS this week. He's still, he's on, you man.
Friday night, and then Saturday night, we did Truth or Comedy. Yeah, I stayed
All right, we're firing up the open mic portion. Kids,
Yes, sir. Yes, sensei.
I believe we will start with a relatively new member of our secret club here, T. James Chapman from, I'll let you introduce yourself.
So what?
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Drove here from St. Louis, I'm glad I did. This one's about being poor. It's called Clear For Me. Your car's burning fumes, so you're counting change left over from the laundromat, hoping it'll get you working back just one more time. You're 3 months late on the third oil change you ain't got. I've sailed the same seas as you, dear sibling, dear worker, dear beggar. Our boats are the same, kicked out because we can't make rent again. But we're drunk again, our family can't quite make that math work. But they force us all to have calculators in our pockets, we can't pay cash anywhere. It spins the same, sure, but it's a bit slower than the pay cards our job tells us we gotta have to get paid, to get drunk, to get a decent night's sleep for once. Make me a pallet in the ground like a mole, it's where we'll all be. They're gonna bury us all deep or burn us, or we'll end up at the county corner as evidence in a case they'll never solve. Our fate ain't pretty, but it's a guaranteed one. When they build that hole, before the good Lord grabs my hand, get a full choir of off-key drunks, of single moms, of busting relics, and sing 16 tons, Clear For Me. This is about growing up. I don't care much for the night no more. I can't much see without a sixer in me. 2 oncoming headlights becomes 4 with a 5th in you, and a 24-hour hold turns to 48 to 72 to a week when you ain't got a savings account to dip into. No bootstraps allowed in jail, so you can't pull yourself up or hang yourself. Either way, you're never getting out. But you eventually do. The cell's overcrowded and they'll drop a charge or 2. That'll lower your bail. And you won't feel so bad hopping on a 3-way call to call your girlfriend for free. Can't get no money on your books till you're booked. And this is the mustiest whole cell you've been in yet. So you ask your girl to post your bail, and she will, and she'll spend hours in the waiting area, waiting on the paperwork, waiting on the bondsman, waiting on them to return your property, and you'll come out cold. She'll give you a hoodie and a kiss. The guy you got released with daps you up and tells you his ride's on the way too. His girl's got him a hoodie. I don't much care for the night no more. My hoodie's getting thinner. My girl's patience even more so. The life I've lived gives me a ring from a 3-way jail call from time to time. I step outside and shiver. This is a collect call from Tyler, an inmate at St. Francis County Jail. Do you accept the charge? I tell him to sit back down at the space table and go back inside.
Very good.
You know the date better than I do.
And Spine when?
14th.
14th, yeah.
His poems are a little disturbingly close to my youth. A long-term member of our secret club and former, still, but close to former poet laureate of Belle, Caitlin Jones. Come on up.
Yes, my term is coming to an end in December. So my hope is we're going to have an absolutely completed ramp project by December. That's the hope. If you guys haven't seen it, there's concrete poured at the bookstore. We now have a concrete ramp going in the side door.
Thank you, Caitlin.
That is a team effort, for sure. Mark and Tony have been working with contractors for the last 4 years. Judge Clayton made a huge donation to that prior. It's really been a team effort to try and get it up and running. Multiple people in this room has made donations to it, and I can't thank you enough for that. Because of that, we had exactly enough money to get the concrete poured. So now we are trying to raise money for the handrail and to get the door fixed. The handrail is going to be a little bit pricey because we're going for a metal fabrication with powder coating on it so that it lasts and it sustains itself. So I have a new jug with me today that says hand railing with a picture of our wonderful concrete ramp. If you're interested in donating, it's here. I didn't bring them in, I don't know why. I do have copies of my book, Deep Breaths. 50% of all the sales that I do tonight, I'll put into this jug for the handrail. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But I really do need to give the biggest shout out to Mark and Tony on working with me to get that portion of the project done, letting me encroach on something they'd already been working on for 4 years. And then a huge shout out to Craft Foundations who did that work for us for a significant discount as well. So it's pretty easy, and I'm glad that it's there. Hopefully the railing will be there fairly soon. We'll have some fundraisers coming up, so please keep an eye out for that. And details will, of course, be on the Belle MO laureate page, which then these guys are amazing at sharing across a multitude of pages. So keep an eye out for that. The other thing, what else was I supposed to say?
How are your cats?
Oh, how are my cats? My cats are fine.
Okay, good.
My cats are good.
How many do you have?
I have 3.
See, you need to get a picture of the cats on.
Oh yeah.
That would be super precious.
I could definitely Photoshop that, but I can't just walk them down the street to the ramp.
You need to put little wine bottles too, like they do on the TV commercials. You know, just a little wine.
Please donate to our cause.
See, I think
Sarah McLaughlin singing in the back.
See, I think we need to get Prometheus to take a photo of there.
With the cats, all like together, loving each other.
I'm open to any ideas that you think is going to give us some donations for it. We can take it. We can do it.
A calendar with your cats on it.
Cat calendar.
Yeah.
I can do that. Not a problem. I got so many cat pictures. I am the epitome of a crazy cat mom, for sure, so my phone, probably the last 12 pictures are cats anyway. We get it done.
I feel you.
The other thing I was supposed to say, if you're interested in donating and you don't want to donate tonight via the jug, there is a GoFundMe link. You can still donate via that, and it goes into the account that's Belle Poet Laureate through Legends Bank. You can also just go to any Legends Bank branch and donate to Belle Poet Laureate Caitlin Jones, and it will go into that account, and we use those funds to try and get the handrail and all of that. And if we raise enough money, we might try and do some other stuff too. The goal has always been to split whatever we don't use at the bookstore after the fact between the Belle and Vienna libraries. So we'll see what we can do for the bookstore and then see what we can do for the libraries. So that's what we're trying to do here, and I appreciate any help getting that out. Any ideas, hit me up. I did lie to John earlier when I said I actually hadn't written anything in a while. But I wrote something in here, which is what I love about this place. I have not been able to write in probably months. Severe writer's block with everything else I have going on. And then I'm in a room full of creative people and light bulb. So I'm going to read a series of haikus that I just wrote in the back of this room. So be easy on me. There's no editing here. Facing the unknown should never be done alone. Gather your people. Fearing the unknown, doctors talking on repeat struggle to understand. Fighting the unknown, battle between body and mind, victory unsure. Conquer the unknown, Know it by name and treat it. Plan for the long game. Defeat the now known. Worn and weary you must fight. The other side, peace.
And from Rolla, Brenda Lakeman.
I'm going to be reading from Gasconade Review's Wolf at the Door, Nobody Home. This one's called Vines, and it's about people who think outside the box and have creative thinking but kind of don't fit in. That's called Vines. Whispering syllables remind me of cautious secrets, where words lack dimension and darken what lies behind the eyes, when actions are disguised in symbolic interactions, tangled in a system of reasons that don't rhyme, like vines clinging inside minds, with inconsistent timing for the many who had to endure a divergent walk when gravity denied an exit. This one's called Wild Seeds. Through harvested fields, surviving dusty solitude, between rows and rows of rich soil, farmed and plowed and considered, steps leading beyond the open and closed field gates, on till gates are left behind, and paths open to large spaces of flowing dreams, where wild seeds grow and create the only place with no need for opinions. This last one's called Hijinks. Liberated minutes and unconfined lies, line hours of spoken conversation in a back and forth hijinks, cascading into wild labels, opening discourse between revealers of truth for not giving into fables that confuse, and refuse to lower frustration, feeding into the gaps and not refuting the tags and tickets to lost jazz and sweet tea, compositions inside the balconies of minds, pushing notes to break free and allow the mystic beats and notes to rise beyond occasions and beyond time.
And Brenda has a new book coming out. She's doing it. What's the title?
Birds in Flight.
Birds in Flight. Ken Gerke, are you ready for action?
Sure.
Ready for duty?
So this first one is, I guess you can say haiku sequence. It's a scenario sequence. And 2 weeks ago, Jupiter and the moon were in conjunction. So pretty cool, got some nice photos. So you could call it a moon poem, but maybe it's not. Jupiter, moon. Two bodies in shared space, yet distant. Proximity, a matter of perspective. Communication, breakdown. Present, but remote. Nothing in common. Conjunction of finite degrees before parting ways.
Definitely a moon poem.
Okay.
Didn't tell Ruchi's wrong.
My sister died of cancer in 2009, and my brother-in-law became a recluse when she was gone. Alone together. How often did you sit at that table? Often, I'm sure. A comfort zone. The many times you sat there with her, and then, alone with thoughts of her. Behind you, the living room where her last days were spent, the days counting it down until the hospital bed was removed, hospice over. Your own health concerns ignored until hers were a thing of the past. Fortune delivered a wan smile when your cancer didn't deliver the blow that took her away. Small consolation, that. You could have reached out to family, your children, those who didn't want to see you alone, but you wouldn't be happy anywhere that she hadn't been. So alone you were at that table when you were found, resting after a head injury that didn't need to be fatal. We miss her, and now we miss you. So I had anemia a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. It was like a year and a half where, I couldn't climb the stairs from the basement without resting for 2 minutes, trying to recuperate. And it turned out that 2 iron infusions, really black bags of dark chocolate, brought me back to normal. Yeah. And now I'm attacking a garden that had been left to go and all that time. It's 4 feet wide, 20 feet high or wide, and it's a wildflower garden, and it's all honeysuckle and oak and hickory because squirrels, yeah. Running wild. A garden has wildflowers and is well tended until it isn't. What does it care about the health scare that left you breathless for more than a year when the best you could do was a slow stroll with the lawnmower and grass trimmer? 2 growing seasons when everything grew and all you could do was watch it. Honeysuckle running rampant in oak and hickory, seedlings and saplings, shooting skyward with a little help from the squirrels. So now you're bending over and pulling those suckers out by the roots, or trying to, when this is supposed to be a wildflower bed. And my last one is a random riff for the uninitiated. When I'm traveling, quite often I drive back to Buffalo to see my kids, and I would just dictate to my phone and write about what I'm seeing, what I'm going to see when I'm there, and I tie music into it, because the first few I actually worked with, I'm listening to a song that fits this. So, Radar Love. Occasional headlights, the only break in the darkness. I count white lines that flash before me, each one closer to my destination. This road knows me well. Every curve wraps itself around me. The rumble strip knows my name, warns of the siren of sleep that beckons with a trance that lures me to be anywhere but where I am. Mile markers pass beside me, the road beneath me. I remain a stationary element in the night until I'm lifted by a guitar intro that leads into a steady drum beat. The wheel goes light in my hands and I hear my baby's voice, her longing calling me home. That drum beat carries me along and there's a glow on the horizon as the sun slowly rises. But I won't let it blind me to my goal. I need her as much as she needs me. I keep a steady pace, feel the comfort she sends my way. There's no way I'll let the road keep me hypnotized. She's my light in the sky, and I know her radar love will bring me home safe.
Thanks, Ken. Our next reader is John, the hanging judge, Clayton.
Who do you think the first
John, let's bring it a little bit more centered.
Pardon?
Let's bring your chair a little centered to Tony's.
How about that?
That's probably fine.
It's not true, I was a hanging judge. Only for those who deserved it.
Like that gentleman right there.
I am worried that we're gonna be in another war pretty soon. I just have that gut feeling, and I've been around long enough to kind of recognize it. So this piece is, and you know, well, I just have to say something about it. So this is my piece called "There's Blood on Your Hands." There's blood on your hands, soccer mom, Mr. Truck Driver, Mr. Plumber. There's blood on your hands, coach, reverend, Ms. Mayor. There's blood on your hands, grandmother, grandfather, uncle, aunt, mother, father. Take your son, your daughter, your granddaughter, your grandson, your niece, your nephew into your arms and whisper into their ear. The truth. I changed your diapers. I gave you your bottle. I taught you to tie your shoes. I taught you to say your prayers. Mom and Dad, pay attention to how your child smells, how their voices sound, to their breathing, to the innocence in their eyes. Pay attention. You will never see that person again. Say, I love you, but I'm willing to sacrifice you for my anger, racism, misogyny, oil, more than my share. There's a place for you in the family cemetery plot. We will weep and wail as we sacrifice you to the cold, dark grave. We have blood on our hands that all of Great Neptune's oceans cannot wash away. When our soldiers return to America, some in coffins, some with missing body parts, and some with twisted brains, they should not expect much help. Don't ask for that prosthesis, for mental health care, or housing. They just cost too much. This is America, where we hate taxes, do not learn from mistakes, and like our veterans healthy and our heroes dead. Thank you. I guess I'm not a very tolerant person sometimes. And this is kind of what this piece goes to. It's called Tired. I'm tired. Tired of people who only want sound bites. Tired of people who are too lazy to think about nuanced points of view. Tired of people who have never been south of St. Louis, whining about their southern heritage. I'm tired of people who think all police are bad, who think all police are good. Tired of people who say they're not racist, but say racist things. I'm tired of people who think that flying a traitor's flag is the equivalent of wearing trousers too low. Tired of people who shoot their mouths off on Facebook, but want to stifle criticism. Tired of people who are against choice, but for stopping SNAP. I'm tired of old people who are for health care for themselves, but not for those under 65. Tired of people who say they are for freedom, but okay with brown kids in cages. Tired of people who claim to support the Constitution, but only when they like the result. I'm tired of senators who say they're for due process, but refuse to allow witnesses at a trial. Tired of politicians lying every damn day. Tired of public corruption. I'm tired of Baptists hating Muslims. Tired of Muslims hating Jews. Tired of Jews hating Catholics. I'm tired of Democratic tribe members. Tired of Republican tribe members. Tired of cheap, lazy independents who never contribute to or work for anything. I'm tired Tired of thieves who cheat on their taxes? Tired of people who think that not being inconvenienced is a constitutional right? Tired of people who say that the minimum wage is not too low? I'm tired. Tired of poor people blaming other poor people for being poor. Tired of ignorance being a virtue. Tired of men being mean to cover the insecurity caused by low IQs and small penises. I'm tired. Tired of people who would sacrifice others for the economy, but not themselves. Tired of lazy, low IQ assholes who only repost memes because they are too intellectually challenged to have an original thought. Damn, I'm just tired. This is kind of a short piece, but you know, I get old enough where I'm beginning to feel some of that prejudice that women feel, that blacks feel, but really old people feel. I'm beginning to feel it, Rick.
Yep.
And you know, a lot of people treat you differently. At least I feel like they treat me differently, and it kind of pisses me off. This piece is called Old, Not Stupid. Speaking softly with a smile on your face does not keep the hatefulness of your words from finding their mark. Speaking softly does not keep your hateful words from cutting and bruising the intended target. Saying, I wasn't sure if you knew, offers no soft salve for the wounds you inflict. I'm just saying does not dull the meanness that form the words that roll them off your tongue. Attempted manipulation is something you do, not something I accept. I'm old, not stupid. Thank you.
That's everybody on the list. There's some. I'm gonna pull you up in a second, maybe just to let people know what's going on in the
That's
future.
all I'm gonna
But,
do. Just tell people when the next year.
okay, yeah, you're more informed than I am.
So, like I had said earlier, our next reading here is April 6th at 6 p.m., which is just a week from now. Normally, we don't do them just a week apart, but Walter Bargan can be here that day, so we will be here. As Jason said, Walter was the first poet laureate of the state of Missouri. We are happy to have him. We've got our whole schedule, as Colin was kind enough to write a piece published a piece a few days ago about our upcoming schedule. We have it all planned out. If anything, it's expanding, and I'm having to add things to it. So that's great. It's a great thing. And one of the things I wanted to mention today, I posted about this because it was funny, but Ted Kuser, who's the former poet laureate of the United States, is going to be in the next one of the next Gasconade Review issues. Anyone else has specific poems, send them to Jason. Do not send them to me, please don't. And we will. Coming. So. I was pretty tired. I held him to it. So I want to thank Jim. I want to thank Rick for being here, and it's great to see all of you. We're going to keep Jason in the foreseeable future. It's here. Tony, for letting us do